This is it, guys. This is the end. The final question and answers I'm ever going to have. The last questions that I'm ever going to answer. Before we get into the questions, before even telling YouTuber to go fuck himself. The one thing that I wanted to show was a couple of posts with guys basically wanted to have some well wishes, say goodbye, say thank you, and stuff like that. So we're going to post a couple of those on the screen. That way you guys can get to see those who did send something. We had Kate7, Francisco Magna, Rich All About the Money, and the final one was Blinks. And here's the great thing. Me and Blinks have known each other going all the way back to Call of Duty 4. And you'll notice that he says IWF for life. You may be wondering, what the fuck is that shit? Is that some gang sign or something? IWF actually stands for Infinity Ward Forums. Back when Call of Duty 4 was released, the only way to really communicate back in those days was on forums. Essentially, you go to the website of the particular video game, and they had the section for community and whatnot, and a whole bunch of guys got together and said, how about we create our own group called the Infinity Ward Forum, guys? So basically, we created the IWF, and a whole bunch of guys that I have played with for years, including Hatred, Blinks, some other guys that have been on my channel plenty of times, Bike Crazy, Mr. Sulu. We go way back to those days. I have known these guys for a very long time. So to see Blinks come back and say, hey, how you doing? It goes to show you how long that I've played fucking video games. So without further ado, let's get into the final questions that I'm ever going to answer. The first two questions that I want to post up are actually two questions that I already answered, but I want to get everybody their due and show them that they actually posted their questions and that I'm actually answering them. So the first one came from Casper Mula, I assume. He said, I've been wondering my entire life this question, even tried to analyze your skiing trip videos. My question is, what's your ethnicity, race, nationality? I already mentioned that in the prior video. 75% Puerto Rican, 25% Irish and Scottish. The second question that was sort of a repeat comes from Marcel Mitchell, although it does have a bit of an extra add to it, so I'm going to answer that part. He asks, what is your opinion on college, and did you ever go to one and graduate from? Yes. As I mentioned in the prior video, question number 3, I went to Syracuse University. Now, what is your opinion on college? I can tell you right now, when I went to college, 95% of what I learned in the classrooms did not help me at all. Ever. You couldn't apply any of that shit to anything that you would actually take with you to your future job. However, where I tell people college is important, it's not in the classroom. It's outside of the classroom. I would say the majority of what I learned came from just being on my own. When you go away to school in particular, not talking about just going to a local school where you still live at home. When I'm talking you have to live away from your parents, you're in your dorm rooms, you're on your own. You have to learn life lessons that your parents had to hopefully have instilled upon you when you go out on your own for the first time. We're talking basic things. We're talking learning how to stick to your financial budget. We're talking managing your time. Other chores that you need to learn, like laundry. You have to be able to do laundry on your own. You have to know how to clean up after yourself. Keep your place clean. You have to manage your food or your diet, if you will, so that you maintain your health. You still need to visit your doctors, go to your checkups. And that's on top of keeping your schoolwork in check, making sure all your homework and your college life classes are done, and balancing your personal life where you're making new friends, you're trying to learn, grow up, experience things for the first time. College is important for outside the classroom work. College is important because that's the time that you really transition into an adult, where you're on your own and you really learn what it's like to be an adult, all grown up, with no more help from your parents. What you learn inside the classroom, yes, there are certain majors that absolutely will teach you things that you will take on in life. Things like nursing, chemical engineering, computer programming, all of those have hands-on applications. But obviously the majority of classroom work that you're going to have, all those mandatory classes that you take, like biology, geology, philosophy, and all that shit, you don't need any of that garbage. But essentially the importance of college is going to be everything aside that you learn from the classrooms. Shut It Down 12 wants to know, do you watch Game of Thrones? If so, what do you think of the finale and whether it deserves the Emmys? Yes, I got into Game of Thrones. I actually got into it late. I didn't watch seasons 1 through 6, and then when I moved here, there was a free weekend of HBO, so I basically just kind of I watched a couple episodes, and I thought, like, okay, this is not too bad. And then I just completely, me and the better half, we just binge watched seasons 1 through 6, and we got through all of it right before season 7 started. So realistically, I've only watched the 2 seasons which no longer had George R.R. Martin's content for the books. So, what did I think of the finale? Now, I don't know if you just mean the finale or the actual final season. The finale itself, just like what everyone has said on the internet, it's the writing, it's the showrunners, everything else, and including the Emmys we're going to talk about, everything else on the show was top-notch. From the acting for certain characters, I'm going to talk about the acting in a second, to the sound effects, the music. My God, the music is absolutely amazing, and that man cannot be awarded enough for the amount of music that he put into that show. But your special effects, your graphics, the set pieces, for God's sake, all that production that they put into pretty much creating entire towns and castles, that was amazing. Everything outside of the writing was done in a way that you just don't see on TV, and all of that shit deserves Emmys. What does not deserve an Emmy are the two assholes that put this fucking show together in season 7 and 8. Basically everything that you've seen on the videos on YouTube about how there's too many plot holes, plot armor, all these writing devices that don't work, the logic of how you get from point A to point B because they're just not able to connect the dots, the character arcs that got destroyed. Oh man, it was absolutely terrible to watch. I mean, I binge watched, so I got to see seasons 1 through 6, one after the other. And then when you just saw how downhill season 7 and 8 turned, it really showed that these guys, they knew how to take stuff out of the books. What they didn't know how to do was create their own content. Now, as far as some of the acting, some of the characters, they were either criminally underused or they're just bad actors. Kit Harington, I'm sorry, he's a bad actor. I mean, all he said, she's my queen. That was the entire shit he said all of season 8. Cersei, Lena Headey is one of a fantastic actress, and you've seen what she's been able to do with Cersei's character. Basically looked out of windows out of season 8. Poor Varys was reduced to the background and was basically pissed off that his character got killed off. Emilia Clarke was absolutely fantastic as Daenerys. Peter Dinklage killed it in almost every scene he was in. He was fantastic to watch. But Kit Harington, yeah, not that great of an actor, so I don't think he deserves any of the accolades because he kind of had just a boring part. But otherwise, everything else in the show, besides the writers, deserves the credit that they got. Next question from Project. What was the inspiration behind the Mission Impossible videos? And of course he mentions that he loved all my content all these years. Back when I did the Mission Impossible video, that was during the time that I was playing Black Ops. That was the active Call of Duty game. And anyone who goes back to my channel could see I fucking hated Black Ops. Oh, I hated that shit with a passion. But the majority of what people wanted to see on my channel, and up to that point I had only posted it, was Call of Duty. I had never gotten away from Call of Duty, and that was the first time that I actually ventured away from the series simply because I did not want to play that fucking game. So when I had some footage from the game, I had to think of ways to really entertain it and spice things up. And some of the games that you would have saw me play during that time with Black Ops, I had to do fun and creative things. So one of them was the Scarface video, where I made fun of one of the maps saying that it looked like Scarface's house, and then I interlaced some of the video of Scarface into my actual making of the video. On top of that, I had this one, I think it was Capture the Flag. I did Me Against the World with a Tupac song. So I needed all kinds of different things to keep people's attention within that minimal content that I was doing at the time. So the one thing that I thought of, I was like, how can I make this interesting? I had just done a Scarface video. What other movie could I incorporate that actually has some element of entertainment in it? And I thought, what about Mission Impossible? Like, do a theme where I do something that shouldn't have occurred. And then I started thinking, I was like, well, how about I do like military call signs? And how about I make it seem like I'm an agent or something like that? And I take the shit semi-seriously, but I do funny things. So the inspiration didn't come so much from Mission Impossible itself. It came from the fact that I needed to spice up the few content videos that I had for Black Ops. And when Scarface was done and I knew that I could do movie videos, then I thought, that's when I'll apply the Mission Impossible to that particular gameplay. Next question from MI2Lito. So since you are leaving YouTube soon, my question is, can I and how much would it cost me to buy this channel? Well, here's the thing. I never made money off of this channel, so if I'm going to sell it, now I'm going to make some fucking money. The bidding starts at $1 million. If I can get up to 10 million, cool. I never made that amount of money on YouTube. I never even tried to. But if I was to make some money, fuck yeah, I'm going to sell that shit for a high-ass price. Next up, from El Poncho751, been watching since the Black Ops 1 and Modern Warfare 3 rants. Yeah, that was back when Call of Duty was real shitty. And he's always wondering, if I had to make a reverse blueprint series and can only bring back the bullshit from the previous Call of Duties, what would be the 3 things that you would bring back to make the ultimate troll Call of Duty? I mean, all you have to do is just look at Modern Warfare 2. Commando, without question. Make a commando lunge that will absolutely piss people off. Unlimited noob tubes with one-man army and make that shit just as strong with sonic boom or explosives, whatever the fuck that perk was that made those shits even more deadly. And then the final thing that I would bring back is the ability to do scavenger on claymores, or basically if you kill somebody, you get to pick up another piece of gear, whatever, and ammo, and on top of that, you replenish your claymore again. Those are the main three things that absolutely piss people off in Modern Warfare 2, and you notice they never came back at any point, so that goes to show you, if you were to bring all three of those things back, yes, that would make the ultimate trolling Call of Duty. Next up from a Trey, and you see all the way at the bottom, he's going to wish me and my family the best, and thanks for all the 8 years of entertainment again. Glad you got to enjoy it. He says, in your opinion, what are some of the highlights of your YouTube careers over the years, and what's your favorite pizza? Now, by pizza, do you mean style of pizza? Because there are multiple different styles of pizza. There's obviously New York thin crust pizza, there's Naples pizza, there's Chicago deep dish pizza, there's Detroit pizza. If you're asking, like, just place or whatever it is, my personal favorite would have to be Lombardi's Pizza here in New York. It's one of the, I don't know if it's the first ever coal burning oven, or I know it's certainly one of the last, because you're not allowed to do it anymore. But there's a certain char that you get to the coal burning pizza that you just can't get anywhere else. Even with the wood fired pizza, even those pizza ovens that can get blazing hot, there's just something about that coal burning pizza, that crust that it has, that you just can't top. Now, as far as my opinion on what are some of my highlights of my YouTube career over the years, here's the funny thing. Like I said in a prior video, I have a little bit of a reflection that's going to be coming up soon. It's basically going to do exactly that. It's going to look back at all the videos that I've ever done and kind of go over some of my favorite things that I got to do on YouTube. So one of the questions that someone had just asked was, what was my favorite video of all time? But I do plan on doing a little bit of a mini-series that goes over some of the videos that I have done and some of the ones that I'm most appreciative and proud of. So I don't want to spoil that series. So I will say that I do have something coming up. It's going to be pretty much the end. When those videos start coming out, that's literally going to be the end. And then you guys will get to see pretty much me relive all of my old videos that I got to enjoy over the years. Next question from DJ Scribbles. He got 3 of them. How do you feel about everything you've done on YouTube, all the way when you started just for friends, being part of Youve to his downfall? Are you proud of it all? Are there things you wish you could have done better or changed? Would you show your kids your channel one day? Would you want them to also make videos like you did and carry on your legacy? And number 3, I'm going to just need you to explain why you're the greatest of all time. It's the laugh, of course. That's the only goddamn reason. Anyway, getting back, how do you feel about everything you've done on YouTube? You know, I'm humbled, honored. I never came into YouTube thinking that I would ever, do it for this many years. I just thought I was going to post up some videos, show my friends some stupid shit that was happening to me, and that would be that. Here I am, over 1,000 videos later, almost 20,000 subscribers in a channel I've never tried to exploit, make money from, and I've had viewers that have been with me for years, and you've seen from all the comments and all the well wishes that I've had, people that have enjoyed my entertainment over the years. So yeah, it's been honoring, and it's been a humbled experience. As far as, you know, being part of Youve, it was a nice stepping point back in the day, because it was acknowledgement of some of the work that I was doing, some of my humor that I was doing, from all the channels that asked me to do top 5 commentaries, do this blooper, top this, top that. Yeah, I was very honored to do those things, and it was showed that people were appreciating my work. So I'm glad that people got to enjoy my entertainment over the years, and I'm happy that I got to go through with it. So are there things that I wish I could have done better? I mean, yeah, you wish more people could have seen your views, or more people could have seen your videos, could have gotten more views, more subscribers. But again, for me, there was never something where I was like, okay, I have to reach this milestone, or I really need to do this. I think the one thing that I mentioned in one of the earlier videos was there something you wish you could have done differently? And I said the one thing that I said was possibly do a Division, more Division content. I thought the Division was a pretty good game, a pretty good start, but obviously it had its issues. And if there's anything I enjoy, it's talking about games with issues. But obviously that came out during the time that I was away from YouTube and I was taking my break. But other than that, I'm very happy with the way things turned out. I really have no regrets from what I've done. And then your second question, would you show your kids your channel one day? I think I sort of answered this question as well. It's a matter of whether or not YouTube is still around. Now, I'm not going to sit them down and say, hey, kids, look what your dad did over the years. No, they're probably not going to give a fuck. As far as would I like them to do their own video, carry on my legacy here doesn't matter. If they ever want to make videos for YouTube, cool. Obviously, I'm going to have to get involved and teach them the pitfalls of social media and the pressures of social media to make sure that they understand what they're doing on the internet. Whether or not YouTube is still around, who knows? I have no idea if it's still going to be a platform that people use to make content and show videos, if Google's going to continue to have it around by the time they're old enough to use it. But in the meantime, if they ever see my video, I'll be like, yeah, I did that, but I'm never going to restrict them or anything like that. Next, I don't even know what the fuck to call himself. He said it's I'm a maid, but he went by Try Hard or some shit like I don't know what the fuck he did. So he tries to explain why he said such a shitty name, so you guys can read it here. But essentially, I think he did a hipfire commentary video, and I called him I'm a maid. So anyway, he wants to get into one final question. What is your favorite music album? If I had to go back and listen to just one album, listen to it over and over and over again, I'm really stuck between two albums. So it's kind of hard to pick my favorite one between these two. But if you had to make me choose, it would really be between the Fugees' The Score, which was one of the best music albums if you ever listen to it in its entirety, just to see their wide range of skills between all three of the partners of the Fugees back before they broke up and shit. And Enter the 36 Chambers from Wu-Tang Clan. That album was probably one of the most landmark albums in hip-hop, not for the music itself, but for the deals that it spawned with giving all the individual members their own albums after the fact with different record labels. So it wasn't just Wu-Tang, Enter the 36 Chambers, and everybody had to sign on with the same exact label that the group signed on with. You can go out and sign your own record deal, your own label, or whatever the case was. But that album alone launched a style in East Coast rap that we really didn't have at the time. West Coast rap was already sort of defining itself, but East Coast rap was really defined by the Enter the 36 Chambers album. So it really is between those two, and it's hard to pick anything above those. Next, and I want to call you Taco Boy, but I know it's Mako Boy. Everybody gonna call you Taco Boy now that I said that shit. So he said he's been watching me ever since my Straight Up Nice Top 5 days. So his question, he said you always never wanted to have kids. What made you finally decide you wanted them? I never have. This was not planned. I have to make that very clear. This was never planned out. This was something I never wanted. I was perfectly fine going throughout life without kids because I'm a selfish bastard. I didn't want to have to raise these motherfuckers. I know how hard it is to raise children. I didn't want to go through that. So the fact that they're here never means I wanted them. It means I got stuck with them. So that's never changed. I still tell people, they're like, oh, do you like kids? I'm like, no, I don't like kids. I'll like my own. I'll take care of my own. But as far as me liking everyone else's kids, no. As far as me going to things that have children, absolutely not. I don't want to be around kids. Ever. Period. So the fact that I have them goes against everything I've ever wanted. But now that they're here, I have no choice but to raise the little shits. Next up, from Flying Bushy Tree, what was your favorite trolling video that you did? I never really did trolling videos. I mean, I did some, but I never did a video where I purposely went to screw people over. I mean, I think I only did maybe a couple of those. I enjoyed, even though it wasn't trolling, I enjoyed when I hunted down boosters in was it Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3? Yeah, I think it was Modern Warfare 3. When people were going for whatever challenges and headshots and shit like that. I had fun showing those kind of videos. I think I've done like this is an asshole kind of thing, trolling type videos. My rants I don't consider trolling because those were just me just getting pissed off as shit. But ultimately, I aside from the booster videos, I never really did any kind of trolling videos. Next up, another motherfucker had to ask a lot of questions. AVX Gamer, since you've done all the controversial topics like politics, guns, religion, the one topic you haven't talked about is parenthood, and now you have a reason to. So I'm asking everything about fatherhood so far. What I assume he meant how did the labor go? Not what did the labor go, or what did the labor go like. So basically, how did the labor go? When did you get to when did you hold your kids for the first time? What was it like holding your kids? How many hours of sleep are you getting? Fuck, not a lot. Has your outlook on kids changed now that you have them? What kind of parent are you going to be? Type of discipline you plan on using? What do you want your kids to be when they grow up? And finally, what is your biggest fear as a parent? So let's go through these one by one. How did the labor go? To give you an idea, she was going to be induced on Friday. So if the kids didn't arrive before that, absolutely, it was going to be that Friday afternoon, go in, take care of everything, kids would have been there. Prior to that, for about a week, she was going through back pains and back spasms. And I think any pregnant woman has to realize you're going to go through back pain. Shit is going to hurt. Tuesday and Wednesday night, she's really in a lot of pain. She was feeling a lot of back pain, back spasms. And Wednesday night, she started noticing that the spasms were really bothering her. She was like, could this be contractions? And she didn't know because everything that she read on contractions was going to be that they were going to feel like menstrual cramps, very painful menstrual cramps in the front, in your stomach. And she was getting these back spasms. So she went to the bathroom and all of a sudden she's bleeding. So she calls up her doctor in the hospital, and they're like, start timing the back spasms. These could be contractions. So sure enough, she starts timing them, and they're about 3 minutes apart. This is about at 11 o'clock at night on Wednesday. So I'm in the middle playing a game. I was just about to start LFG in a raid and shit like that. I'm like, oh, shit, we gotta go to the hospital? All right. Now, the type of person that I am, I don't panic. She's a panic. She's a worry word. As soon as something happens, like, we gotta go to the hospital. I gotta get to the delivery room. I didn't do my nails. We have dinner coming tomorrow. I have delivery coming tomorrow. You know, all the panicky things that are popping through her head, because naturally she's cycling through every single problem possible. And I'm like, all right, let's go to the hospital. You know, I'm cool, collected. This is like as if I've done this shit before. I don't panic in situations. I don't get flustered or anything like that. So we hopped in the car. We went over to the hospital. We got there at exactly midnight, and 3 hours later, the kids were born. When she got to the hospital, they explained to her that she was going through back labor, and back labor happens to be the most painful type of labor. But it wasn't until they gave her the drugs, they gave her the juice, and then she was like, okay, now I feel a little bit better. As far as when did you get to hold your kids? As soon as they were born, with twins, naturally, I get one, she got the other. They handed me my son. She got to, they put the daughter on her chest while she was recovering. So that was the first time I got to hold them, but they whisk them off and they start doing whatever tests they need to do. I don't know what, I know there's some tests involved that they take the kids and do after the fact, but you know, you get like 2 or 3 minutes with them, you see they're alive, and then once you see them, then they're off to do whatever they have to do with them. What was it like holding your kids? It was 3 in the morning, so I was fucking exhausted. it was a bit surreal. It's like, oh shit, it's starting. Parenthood has officially started at this point. As far as how many hours of sleep are you getting, it varies. So I get about 4 hours of sleep a night. I feed them at 1 in the morning, which is the last time they eat at night. And by the time I'm done, it's 2 in the morning, and I'm up at 6 in the morning in order to get to work. So yeah, it's been rough. I catch up on a little bit of sleep on the weekends, but I'm pretty much going on 4 hours of sleep a day. Has your outlook on kids changed now that you have them? No, I still hate everybody else's kids. I don't like the motherfuckers. I just gotta like my own. I don't give a fuck about other kids. I just care that all mine are raised properly and I take care of mine. Now, what kind of parents are you going to be? I'm going to be a little tough. I'm not going to lie. I don't want to have a candy-ass millennial. Not going to lie to you. I do not want a kid that doesn't take responsibility for themselves and thinks that they know everything more than their parents. Fuck no. Not happening. I am going to be a pain in the ass to make sure they understand discipline. That their parent knows better, and you're not going to pull that shit with me. I'm going to raise them as if they're being raised in the 80s, motherfucker. Fuck that shit, man. The type of discipline you plan on using, I'm not going to hit them. I'll scare the shit out of them, but I'm certainly not going to hit them. What do you want your kids to be when they grow up? I keep joking with people that I want them to be in doubles tennis, and here's why. If they get into sports, usually when you have a boy and a girl, they're going to get into different sports. Regardless, at a certain age, it's eventually going to split up. So you can put them in soccer, you can put them in baseball for a certain amount of time. But at some point, they're going to say, boys go to this direction, girls go to this direction. So yeah, they can play soccer together when they're little, but eventually they're going to grow out of that. And eventually they're going to grow out of baseball. But doubles tennis, you can get men and women on the court at the same time, which is one of the few sports that allows you to do that shit. Right now, there's no dominant doubles tennis couple out there. But I get these two into tennis, man. That shit could rule. I mean, you think about all the money that Serena Williams has made, Rafael Nadal, Roger Federer. I put these two motherfuckers with a tennis racket in their hand, send their ass to the Wimbledon, US Open, French Open. Fuck yeah, I can make a lot of money off of these two. Of course, they can make their own money and shit. No, but you think about it. If I have to always go to different sporting events, say one wants to play baseball, the other wants to do soccer, the one's doing cheerleading, the other's doing gymnastics, another one's doing lacrosse, because where I live, fucking lacrosse is a big fucking deal out here. But you get the idea. To have to split your time between the two of them is very difficult. However, you can play doubles tennis, which is why I'd want them to play doubles tennis. And finally, what is your biggest fear as a parent? Any parent's going to tell you it's you don't want anything to happen to them. Right now, you're worried about whether or not you're taking care of them properly. They're going to get to teenagers, and then the worry is going to be, holy shit, I hope they know how to fucking drive, and then we'll get into accidents. So your fear always changes, but the overall logic behind it is I want their well-being to be okay, and I don't want anything to happen to them. So that's always going to be your biggest fear. This is it, guys. These are the final 2 questions that I'm going to be answering, and both of them ask very similar questions, so I want to kind of lump them together because they're essentially going to get a very similar answer. The first person up, look at this fucking name. I'm just going to throw this shit up on the screen so you guys see this. I don't know what the fuck that is. It's just Russian. I'm just going to call him the Russian. You're going to be known as Boris the Russian. I can't pronounce that shit. I don't speak acrylic or whatever the fuck that shit is, man. So anyway, he asked a couple questions. Obviously, he says congrats on his kids and that he grew up watching my channel to make me feel fucking older. But he asked, I've forgotten if you've answered this in the past question and answer session, but do you have any experience dealing with mental health issues, either your own or someone that you know, family, friend, coworker? If you had to, what is some advice you could offer about giving someone handling it, or what have you learned, or what could you share with others an idea what to do? The second question that I got is also dealing with mental health, and this comes from Shady Ass Dog. Again, he says congratulations on 10 years. On to the question, do you think that the rise in mental health issues in younger generations is actually an issue, or is something closer to a fan? On a related note, having attempted suicide twice and struggling with self-harm, I still find that even therapy sessions, he's struggling to want to live. This gives you an idea that there are people out there that do have some mental health issues. But for starters, mental health nowadays has obviously been brought to more of a prominence. If you grew up when I grew up, I mean, talking 20, 30 years ago, it was a stigma. Mental health was seen as a weakness. It wasn't seen as a problem. It was seen as this person is physically weak. Aside from things like Alzheimer's, which was a disease, things like depression, anxiety, anorexia, bulimia, all these things that we've come to grow and know as mental health issues, they weren't treated as mental health issues. They were treated as somebody was weak. They were inferior. That they had a problem and that they should take care of their problem. What, you're depressed? Why can't you happy yourself up? What, you're anorexic? Here, have a fucking sandwich. That's how they were treated when I grew up. Nowadays, it's obviously treated the way it should be, aside from still some people with the old-fashioned way of dealing with mental health. But it's not a fad. It is a problem. And it's a growing problem in today's age, and it's an exacerbated problem based on social media, and I'll talk about that in a couple seconds. But getting back to the Russian, Boris, getting back to his question, he's like, do I know someone have ever had to deal with mental health issues? I do have some mental health issues that runs in my family, but not anyone directly tied to me. Someone that I would have to take care of on my own. I have other family members that have to deal with it directly, and other family members that do have to help their family members. I deal with it indirectly. I don't have to. I don't have to experience it firsthand compared to what other family members have to go through. The one thing that I could say is that people do need professional help when it comes to mental care, especially if you're the person taking care of someone with mental issues. The person who does have mental health needs, obviously they need to speak to their own counselor. They need to find their own versions of therapy and treatment or whatever the case is. But the caretakers also need help. And I think that's an understated problem in today's day and age, because if somebody has mental health and you're the caregiver, you're going to go through your own cycles of trust issues, of your own versions of depression, of sadness, of feeling helpless. And I think offering help to the caretaker is also just as important as helping the person who's afflicted by mental illness, because you do need support. You need someone to show that while you're supporting someone, there are people there that have your back, and there are people that are there to help you. So if I could offer advice on how to handle it, it's also seek professional help for yourself if you're the person that has to help someone with mental guidance, because it is a struggle. And not only that, it takes a toll on the person who takes care of another family member or friend or whatever the case is. So if you're one that is taking care of family members, or you're in the direct line of having to deal with someone with mental health, I am all for seeking out help. Now on to Shady Ass Dog. I mean, he's very open here in mentioning that he's tried to harm himself. This is a real world problem. And you see it right here, that he feels as if sometimes that life is overbearing. And even with therapy and even with other things, that sometimes it just doesn't help. And I think growing up in today's age, the pressures of social media are cruel to people of that age. Now, I joke that millennials don't take care of themselves, they're assholes, they don't want any responsibility. But on the flip side, we're seeing the effects of bullying. We're seeing the effects of just the mental toll that social media takes on people, these societal pressures that are put on teenagers and kids, that you have to perform. Your life is on display in social media, and people can see what you do and how you do things, your clothes, your activities, your parents' lives. I mean, everything these days is scrutinized simply because others want to make themselves feel better by pissing on someone else's life. Like, oh yeah, your dad's a janitor, well my dad's an executive. I obviously have a better life than yours, and I'm going to post this shit on social media. So yeah, there are struggles today with the current generation in dealing with social media, and it is a problem. It has always been a problem. You know, I mean, I've avoided social media, and you guys know I can't stand that shit. Not just for those reasons. I just can't stand social media in general. It's pretty shitty to have to deal with social media problems, and cutting yourself off from social media, I think, is one of the best possible ways of improving mental health from the very beginning. Now, as far as feeling like guilt-tripped into finding a reason to live, I don't want to sit here and tell you, oh yeah, you know, you have your whole life ahead of you and things like that, and give you the pep talk. I will just say this. No matter how strong the temptations are, there's always a light at the end of the tunnel. Always. Always, always, always. I know that you're sitting here saying that you're feeling guilt-tripped and that sometimes it just doesn't feel as if there's enough, but I can't stress enough that there are reasons to continue living. To tell you what those reasons are would be bullshit on my part, because you're going to have to find those out for your own. There could be things that you do enjoy. I see you have a picture of a Chihuahua as your screen name. Maybe you like dogs. Maybe a comfort dog will work. A pet that shows you undying affection. I mean, pets are some of the most loyal animals on the planet. And they do have comfort animals. They do have support animals that will be by your side through thick and thin. And when you see that there's a dog that you can come home to, whether it's from school or work, and they jump in your arms and all they want to do is lick you and play with you, you feel like, now I have something to look forward to. And I have support here, and you look at your animal as your pet, as an extension of you, as something that you can take care of. And in general, people will say pets do help with depression. Pets help with making people happy. People like pets. People like animals. I mean, you can watch cat videos on YouTube for hours and just laugh your ass off. But as far as your family members trying to guilt trip you, I don't want you to feel like family members will guilt trip you. Not to belittle them or to insult them, but you also have to understand, for caretakers, and I mentioned this to Boris, Boris the Russian, it's difficult for caretakers to know whether or not they're helping you as well. And you may be going through your mental struggles, and they're understanding, and they're trying, and the only thing that they could do is try to make you feel that there's more to life than ending it. And I don't want to say that it's harder on them than it is on you, because it's not. You're the one that has to deal with it. But at the same time, there are people that aren't equipped to deal with people with mental health issues. There are people that aren't equipped to be able to have that empathy and the explanation to say, you know what, there is more to life than feeling down. So I don't want you to feel like they're guilt tripping you. They're most likely trying to help. They just don't know how, which is why in the prior mention I was talking about professional help. And it seems like you're seeking professional help. It may be that family members also need to seek professional help. How do they help you? How do they support you? How do they show their affection towards you? How do they show empathy? How do they guide you through those dark days? How do they show that there's more to life and things that make you happy? Finding you things that give you joy, that give you compassion. Don't feel like they're guilt-tripping you just for their own sake, because the chances are they might not know how to convey life to you. They might not know how to convey help to you. And it comes across as they're trying to help themselves avoid the situation, and a good chance is they're not. If I did have to make a suggestion, first would be an emotional support pet. Second would be get the fuck off social media. Just delete all that shit. Hey, come to my channel, watch my videos, that's all good. If I'm giving you some entertainment, cool. And third, understand that the people who are probably dealing with you directly and trying to help you, they're doing what they can. They might not be equipped to helping you as best as they possibly can, and they're not doing it for themselves. They most likely are doing it for you. They're most likely trying to help you, but there are probably times where they feel like they might not be reaching you. They might not be connecting. Just know that there are people out there that most likely want to help you, and they might just not know how. So, after all these years, it is finally over. These are the last questions that I'll probably ever oratorially answer. Obviously, if you guys ask me shit in the comment section, I'll certainly try to answer those. I'm going to have a couple videos left, so this isn't a goodbye yet. I still have, 3 or 4 hip fire commentary videos that are going to be coming up. I have one final series that I've been alluding to that I'm going to get to, and then eventually we're going to have the final goodbye video. So probably maybe 10 videos left we got. So we can start counting it down now. That probably 8 to 10 videos or so that we'll be doing, and then that'll be it, guys. So as always, rate, comment, subscribe, and all that good shit, and I'll see you guys in the next videos.